Good evening and welcome to the Mancunian Way. Hope we are all well. Rich is late, don't know where he is. Alan's on mute, the best thing for him. What a start to the show.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, and you've got me on in the background.
Happening, yeah.
Mute me in the background. Because you're watching the show as well as being on it.
I know.
Do you know? It's like amateur hour. Good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
I'm very good.
Very good, thanks, mate. Happy Friday from this part of the world, and hope everyone's doing well. Everyone in the chat, FIFA, Adam Quinn, hope you're all doing well.
Yep.
I've got something weird going on with my camera. There we go, that's better. Good evening, Big Morgan.
We've been saying that for years and years. We're going on with your camera.
Come on, guys, get those likes up. Like we said, if you are listening, please hit that thumbs up. If you are new, hit that subscribe as we're on the march to 2K. Thank you all. Hashtag Blue Family. Martin was not late. Martin was sorting out the laptop. This laptop is slowly dying at the moment. I'm trying to sort it. Bogey Team Palace is going to be tough. We're going to talk about that this evening. Hi, Martin and Blues, all in the chat. Please get them likes up. Please share. Please subscribe. It is probably going to be a bit slower at the beginning because there's football on. We will, when things change in Australia with the clocks, we're going to move the show later to accommodate more because we do tend to get more viewers live when we're later. When it's 8 o'clock in the UK, it's harder because all the football's currently still live. Because you'll notice around about 10-ish, 9:30-ish, we'll start getting a bigger increase in numbers because everyone is stopping watching football. Oh, he's here. Is he ready? Is he ready? I don't know. He's just staring at the camera at the minute. Give me a thumbs up. Stop smiling at me and give me a thumbs up. Tell me if you're ready or not. He's just smiling at me. No, that's not a thumb.
Let him in.
That was a middle finger.
Yeah. Richard.
Hello.
G'day, Rich.
G'day.
G'day.
G'day, mate.
Hey, mate.
Not Melbourne City.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know? It's not Melbourne City. They've not suddenly created a YouTube channel. Anyway, good evening, gentlemen.
Pat, you're being very risky putting David Oldfield Appreciation Society in Australia.
Why's that?
Well, people might think you're a hard right politician. I mean, David Oldfield was Pauline Hanson's right-hand man.
You're thinking that David Oldfield. Oh, jeez. Oh, God.
Oh,
You've got to change that vote quickly.
Yeah, there's going to be a few people on to you today.
I knew there was an Oldfield involved with One Nation. I didn't realise. I couldn't remember his first name was David.
Yeah, it wasn't the same one, but...
No, I know. Thank God for that.
Put the cap on.
So you put the flat cap on. Cover your hair up, or lack of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for
You heard the 60-year-old.
It's almost French if I wear it like that.
It is, yeah, it is. Well, I don't think you can mistake you for being French, mate.
Right, okay.
Well, Rich, you just saved me from getting rinsed, so I've changed my name to something more respectable.
Oh, dear, man.
We are going to kick off with Palace. We are going to talk about... We're not going to go directly into the Kyle Walker situation. There's no point. I'm not going down that road. This is not a let's destroy Kyle Walker. We are going to talk about role models and footballers because at the moment, I think there's a lot of issues regarding some footballers and they need to be better role models for what they are representing.
He only had a good afternoon out on a Sunday down in Wilmslow. The slugging lettuce. What's wrong with that?
Of course he did, Alan.
Yeah, 2 days off. It's nothing to do with City. Nothing to do with City.
So you walk around pubs getting your penis out in front of everyone, do you?
Mate, I've done a full strip in the living room. Doing the dance to hot chocolate.
Alan, I'm going to break some news to you now. You know it's against the law to do that.
Well, I did it in hot chocolate in the living room. And
Alan, stop now. Stop now.
Yeah.
Just stop trying to make light out of it. He's doing so he's coming out wrong.
I just think it's a bit embarrassing.
And we're not jumping into it yet.
You started it.
I was talking about Alan, Martin. Behaving like a drunk adolescent
10-year-old
when you're past about 17, 18 is just deeply.
I'm not being funny. I've been out in many a nightclub and I've never seen anyone young do what he did. Sorry, it doesn't actually go on, so I don't know what all this.
Whatever
anyone
we think, it'll finish him at City. So
go and sort your head out. Go and sort your head out. If you think, dropping your pants in the middle of a nightclub or a pub is okay, sorry, it is not.
And honestly, added to that, if you think when you haven't been in form and you've just got a bit of form back and you're the senior player in the squad
and you're desperate for
going out and getting smashed all day,
and you're meant to be in contract renewal talks.
I mean that will finish him at City. That will finish him at City because he's our senior player who's meant to be setting an example.
Okay, well, we're into it now.
We're in the league.
So, right, Kyle Walker, you know.
Alan, sit down.
Oh dear.
Flat Cap Appreciation Society now. Okay.
Rich has saved me from potential embarrassment, so I thought it's just nice to return the favour.
Alan.
Exactly.
Alan.
Okay. Sorry.
We're going backwards at the minute. You know what? You're going backwards.
Okay. All right. No worries. Right.
Okay. The Kyle Walker, went out and had a few drinks, which is fine, no problem. I don't have an issue with a footballer having a social life. Obviously, come out from the Sun, which is not the greatest. I've been more, but it's out there now. This is not let's slag off the Sun because it's out. He's obviously gone out and he's done something that is stupid. Beyond stupid, if I'm honest. And let's be straight, if any of us did that and got caught, we'd all be sacked the next morning out of our jobs. I certainly would in my job. I'd be out of my job the next day if I did that. Out of my job.
You'd have to go through due process first, but...
Yeah, but you couldn't do... My whole point is, there's a difference between going out and being a lad. We ain't talking a 19, 20-year-old here. He's in his early 30s. He's one of the senior guys in this team.
Yeah,
and he's gone out and been an absolute melon.
Yeah.
He's gone out and been a melon.
And I think Guardiola does need to come down, but I mean, that's the sort of thing when United kids were doing it 30 years ago, Ferguson was walking into the places they were, grabbing them by the hair and dragging them out and telling them you won't be at the club in 2 weeks if you behave like this. And do you know what? Regardless of the day off, if he got smashed, his body will have taken 48 hours, 72 hours to recover properly for elite training, possibly longer. So he won't have trained as well on Wednesday or Thursday. And that's a biological medical fact. So he won't be in as good a shape, which means he even if it's only 0.5% or 1%, he'll be 1% more likely to get injured. He's shown every young player like Rico Lewis and Phil Foden and everyone in the squad that what you do when you have time off is you go and get pissed and behave like a twat. So, Jack Lee mentions don't forget his wife and kids. How embarrassing for your kids going to school is that? And what a way is that to treat your wife? Now I'll separate that from the football side. That's the moral side. I might not like it, but that's not, our business to get moral on it. But I might be uncomfortable with some of that behaviour. So, in a way, he's let everyone at the club, everyone in his family, and he's let them all down. And it's just you know, it points to me though to the fact, you know, I think he's had some real struggles mentally over the last few years.
Didn't he split up with his missus?
Some of his behaviour is probably, you know, is some of his mental struggles, but it
has come out, Rich. His wife's done a lot of talking on Instagram. Apparently, she did say, I'll basically fight someone who likes a drink. I'll fight that battle. I'll stick with them. But when they are hurting the people who support them the most, and that's what happens when people have issues and have problems.
Yeah.
This is why I don't want to go fully in on Kyle Walker. This is not a let's destroy Kyle Walker. This is more talking about role models, because this is not the first time. We've had another left back of ours I won't mention be a total idiot. Despite him getting off or being not guilty on 7 of the charges, he still admitted he was drink driving, going out drinking and doing drugs. So, and that came out in evidence in court. So my simple fact is some of these footballers really need to have a long, hard look at themselves. They're not just representing a business, they're representing children as well. Children are looking up to them as role models. Jack Grealish sells thousands and thousands and thousands of headbands, not to grown men, to children.
And Bristol City players.
What you don't then want to do is then turn around and have him plastered all over the pavement drunken, you know what I mean? Or like he did at Villa.
Yeah.
And that's
but there's also quite simply the fitness and medical element. I mean, it's one thing that, you see with, a lot of continental players who don't drink.
I don't know if he's ready. I'm just...
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Continental players will still misbehave. They'll still, get up to no good, but they won't get up to no good with alcohol because, obviously it is addictive to a lot of people. And we've seen many footballers during their career and after their career with real alcohol addiction problems. But it also, in terms of the diet, which has to be absolutely elite as a football, in terms of the training, which has to be elite, alcohol, even in relatively small quantities, does, affect that. And I think, but it is very much in English football or British football, maybe it is very, very much a culture that doesn't exist in most professional football.
Can I throw this to you? I'll throw this to you, Pat, and then we'll get Alan and Beta involved in it. Do you think this is part of the reason maybe you don't see a lot of foreign players staying in England for 10, 15 years and why they want to go home?
Well, because it's more acceptable to drink coffee and things on the continent.
The culture in Europe is to go for a meal, maybe have wine. A meal where in English culture is a pub culture, isn't it? You go abroad, Martin. You go in the bars in wherever abroad, and it's full of English on holiday in pubs and wine bars. When you see the locals live,
there's also children in there, Alan.
Yeah, no, but they're also. You go and see them. They're all outside restaurants having a long meal, sit there for 3 hours, and have a glass of wine. That's their culture. They'll sit there all night and have a culture. It's a bit more like that. There's a mixture in Australia where, I would certainly say in Melbourne they are. They're more of an eating culture than a pub culture. Yeah, the youngsters will go out, but not the older generation will tend to they'd rather go to a restaurant and have wine and have something to eat and sit there for ages than go to a pub and get absolutely nailed every single night of the week. Where in England, you always go down to the local. So it's in the culture in the UK. I think that's a big difference.
Yeah, and if you're talking about players who play in continental Europe as well too, you you never see any sort of footage of their behaviour inside a club and that. It's like if they're actually out somewhere, it's some massive gala event that's hosted by some, massive foreign dignitary or some big celebrity over there or something like that. And there's not a camera in sight. There's no CCTV inside the venue or anything like that. So you just never see or hear anything from any big stars. Like you see Neymar, because he's obviously, like he's been such a big name in Paris for so long. You see him out all the time and that, but you never hear about any antics he might get up to or what he gets up to behind closed doors and that. So, yeah,
again, he's an amateur. He's an amateur compared to Verratti by all accounts, but that could be one of the reasons why PSG have underachieved relative to some other clubs, though. I mean, the couple of set. I mean, the reality is PSG play with a lot of players who, whether it's related to their pure fitness, but they don't press, they don't work defensively, and in many ways it's that hard work and that level of real, that extra 1-2-3% of effort that is the difference between PSG being, a usual French champion and actually being a team who has made the impact that their spend and some of the other things have deserved. Because they, unlike City, they haven't gone and won the hardest domestic league in European football. They've strolled to Farmers League.
Yeah. Are you there, mate?
Yep, I'm here, man.
I mean, for anyone who thinks we're trying to be the police, I'm not saying don't go out and have a drink. For a start off, we're March the 8th. We're about to hit the most important part of our season. Is it the time for Kyle Walker to be going out, dancing away and doing what he did? I mean, I'm not trying to be the police here, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
trying to get back in the team.
Let me share, I think, an unfortunate reality with professional sports. I think he carries on like this all the time in terms of it's the weekend. I know how many days I have off before I'm going to be expected to be at my best. I'm going to go out, whether it's out with the missus or out with the boys. I think it's a normal thing amongst many players. Now, I think we all know some working or professional people that are able to manage the drinking on the weekends or whatever they happen to do on the weekends and still be professional. The part here is there's that moral part, which many of us don't agree with. And again, we don't know the business between him and his missus, but there's that aspect of it. And I hear your point with regards to being a role model and being a representative of not only himself, because he is a brand, Kyle Walker is a brand, but then he plays for Manchester City. And then the city of the Manchester, the city itself, and what that represents. So that's the difficult part. But with regards to what he's now caught doing, that's the issue. And I first asked the question, is this a private event? Is this a private venue? Is this like a closed off group of people that he was doing this with, or was it with the general public? So those are all things that I'm kind of waiting to learn more of.
His mate's in Wilmslow, which is on the south side of Manchester. So he was out where he lives, basically, out with his mates.
But he was in a pub, wasn't he? I mean, it was just a public bar.
It is a public bar, but sometimes, you know what, these professionals will lock it off so that they don't have people bothering them between meals and just having a night out. So they'll almost rent out the entire place. And I don't know if that was the case. But regardless of that, it's caught on video. It's a terrible look. It's indecency at the end of the day. Oh, sorry, Martin's talking. I'm not hearing him. Sorry, Martin.
You're muted, Martin.
They may get a segregated area later. They may get like an area where they privately go to, if you know what I mean. I mean, Charlie's put everyone was given 2 days off, so that doesn't matter. Yeah, I get that, Charlie. I'm not saying don't go out and have a drink, but go out and get hammered. There's a time and a place for me as a professional sportsman.
Yeah.
If Kyle Walker, let's put it one way. If that was Erling Haaland going out and getting absolute sozzled, I'm telling you now, more City fans will be like, don't agree with that. Well, what's that about? You know, there'd be more uproar. If that was Jack Grealish, more uproar.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, to be honest, I mean, we look at what was that Jack Grealish last season or something was caught outside Deansgate, but he didn't do anything, any ill behaviour that was, we're ridiculing Kyle Walker about. But yeah, it's just a simple fact of the matter was just that he didn't do anything, like he didn't bloody do indecent exposure or anything like that. But he was out on the street and he looked like he was a little bit worse for wear, and everybody's a bit like, Jack Grealish, can't hold his drink, and then it was all gone within a couple of days. So again, it just comes down to, it wasn't necessarily what he's welcome to do whatever, not necessarily whatever he likes on his 2 days off. It's just when you step across that line, which is exactly what he's done, that's when he's now guilty, basically, in the court of public opinion.
Yeah, it's Manchester Blues put it here. Only a footballer could flash his junk and not get arrested.
Yeah.
I got to be honest with you. That's professional sports, though. Over here in North America, whether you're an American football player, or NBA player, you're a hockey player, baseball player, those quote unquote protections or overlook some of those actions. It's because of the money and power and celebrity.
Yeah. Vader, though, it's a bit of a weird situation in North America, because you look at NFL, for example, it's like even players could just get accused of it, and even if it goes to court, they found they're not guilty, and even if they somehow make their way through as not guilty, again in the court of public opinion, the organization that they play for, whether it's the club or whether it's the sports organization, can still punish them. You hear stories about like NFL players getting news in the headlines about assaults or decent exposure or something like that. And even if it's proven that they never did it, the NFL will still go and suspend them for like 6 games.
Yeah, actually, and the NRL would suspend. Yeah, Walker would be getting a month ban in the NRL. But I mean, the history NRL players now, if they go out and they get drunk and they have an argument or they misbehave, etc., are going to get banned, and that's the nature. But I mean, their behaviour has generally, been, there's been some pretty bad behaviour, and they don't have the money to be going to separate bars, and they're living most of them quite normal lives, and they're behaving like.
Rich, I have to say, it has gotten better than what it was 10 years ago. It just seemed like you give it a month, and then in the news, it'd be up. There's some footballer was playing up again on a night out or on a trip away with the boys.
In that time, a couple of players have gone to jail, and there's been some pretty serious offences. So,
can I just say, Slime's put here Balotelli doing way more crazy, but we love him for his character, presumably means. Listen, Balotelli was off his rocker.
Balotelli behaved like a 6-year-old, not a 16-year-old.
But here's the difference, Rich. Balotelli didn't have a long Manchester City career.
No.
Balotelli didn't get his junk out either.
See, there's a big difference here. Yes, we're not saying don't go out and have a laugh and be and this, that, and the other. I'm not saying don't go out and have a drink. What I'm saying is there's a difference between going out and having a drink and going out and getting sozzled. There's also a big difference between going out and having a drink and then breaking the law. This is the big thing people are forgetting here. He broke the law. It is against the law. In most countries, but in the UK, it is against the law. It is known as indecent exposure. You can actually be put on the sex offenders list for that. Mm-hmm. Breaking news to everyone. Didn't know if anyone realised that, but you can. Not
and
saying
you can go to jail for up to 2 years.
Should be going, but what I'm saying is, you know what I'm trying to make the point here. Can we not just laugh it off as, he was being a lad? Again, I've never been in a nightclub, and I've never ever done that when I've been in a nightclub. I've never done it. I've never seen it. I understand things go on in club toilets and blah, 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 but it's still privacy behind it. And even that's wrong in my eyes. And I'm sorry, maybe I'm being an old fuddy-duddy. But for me, at least that's private. It's not been done in the middle of the dance floor, in the middle of a bar. How more desperate trying to get a contract for Manchester City? And let's be honest, everyone's quoted, well, City will deal with it internally. Do you know how they're going to deal with it internally as well? They just
playing
want
Rico Lewis and not signing his new
He's
contract.
about to lose his City career. And it's the only thing, because if you think Pep Guardiola sat there going, it's all right, Kyle, don't worry about it. You were in training the next day. Yeah, he will be in training the next day. They just won't offer him a new contract.
And he probably won't play the next two. He probably won't play the next 2 or 3 matches.
Yeah, Rico Lewis will play on Sunday or Saturday.
And we're not even in the situation where he's cheated on his wife and his kids.
Well,
So,
hang on, Carl.
I'm not what?
Who's Carl?
Listen, Carl Walker.
He's having arguments in his head.
Listen, Carl Walker split up with his missus in 2019 after him and his missus had affairs on each other, and they got back together a year and a half ago. They got back together a year and a half ago. You're not telling me they've not been up to all sorts of tricks and arguing left, right, and centre again, which you know that as well as I do.
No, I don't, Alan.
Well, I'm sorry, but their relationship's toxic.
Alan, I understand you have some very warped ideas sometimes.
And do you know what? You know what? I think, on a football show like this, that what he does.
Let's not go down the morality.
No. What he does in terms of football, and what he does in terms of his fitness, and what he does in terms of setting an example as the senior player in the club, I think that's fair enough. I may have strong views about his wife and his kids, but I don't know necessarily, and behaviour. But I don't necessarily think that's for us to attack or.
Yeah, I'm not going to judge.
Say for the fact that
that's up to his wife.
If you're in the public eye and you've got children and you've been behaving in a way that makes them go to school and have to take crap off every other kid in the class, then I think
I feel for his kids.
I think you've let yourself down as a father, and I think in many ways that is a bigger thing than what you let yourself down as a husband. In that they're not, they are in that situation. Your kids aren't party to any relationship issue. They're not party to any agreements on what you can and can't do and what your own morals are about your marriage, and they're not able to defend themselves. So, I think, he should be looking himself in the eye as the senior footballer at City, as a father. I don't know if he has that many sponsorships. I don't think he does. And that's probably, compared to a lot of players. So he's probably not got 25 sponsors on the phone like some of the players would. But he just needs to look at himself, and he just needs to, probably, think, does he need a bit of help? Is he struggling? Has he struggled through COVID? Has he struggled?
That's a great point.
Do
you know what?
Stuff like that. But he has to admit he needs it. And
is everything okay under the roof of his own house? We don't know.
Spot on. Pat and Rich, absolutely nail on the head here. There may be a bigger problem. He may have issues we don't know. So instead of doing this, I'm not saying hung, drawn and quarter him. I'm not annoyed at him going out. I'm annoyed at the indecent exposure. That's where I'm annoyed. That is the teacher part of me coming out. Sorry, that's just me as a teacher coming out with that sort of stuff.
Man, the only thing that would annoy me in terms of having a night out is the simple fact that because he's in peak fitness, he only needs like 3 or 4 drinks before he's absolutely bladdered. I would kill to be able to drink 3 or 4 drinks before he's absolutely bladdered. At least I can go home with plenty of cash still in my wallet.
Yeah, no, I just think
no problem with that whatsoever. Yeah,
footballers need to remember sometimes, and it's hard. And the thing that worries me is, and I'm not going to go into every single incident, we're seeing more and more incidents, and they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm like, where does this stop? And that's where I think about the role model part of. I've seen United fans going crazy over the Greenwood situation. Obviously, we made the decision on our left back. You've now got the decision. Villa had the issue with Grealish when he was being an idiot at Aston Villa, crashing cars and doing everything that he was doing. You've got the Alonso issue that was at Chelsea. It just seems to be. Do you know what scares me? why are the FA or the Premier League not helping these players more sometimes? Give them some more help. Because it's like me, Rich. Me as a 40-year-old, don't know where Alan's gone. Alan's just disappeared. If I was suddenly on 300 grand a week, I don't know how I would react because I've never been on that kind of money. I don't know. Even I might go a bit wild and crazy and think, my world's my oyster. And will I sit back and think, I've got millions of people watching me?
And that's and that's the only reason they have that money. The only reason they have that much money and they're paid that much money is because they're in the public eye and they're driving that much money by the fact they are stars on the pitch 2-3 times a week and stars off the pitch the rest of their life. And that's why you get paid 200 grand a week. That's why Kyle Walker gets that money. So, it's kind of both ways, isn't it? And does the game need to present? I mean, I don't know. I think it's a bit of a societal issue, not just football, though. I mean, I don't agree that there aren't other people behaving in exactly the same way as Kyle Walker. I think there's thousands of people in the UK, probably Australia, behaving like that.
Yeah,
every week.
Like someone said, Rich, we get arrested, mate, and get put into a prison.
I don't know that thousands do get arrested. I think ultimately with a
I'm not testing it, Rich. I ain't going out.
No. I'm saying ultimately.
Sorry, mate. I'm not trying it.
Ultimately, it's a bit like drink driving. You for anyone who's gonna drink drive, they may drink drive and they may get home not having been stopped and maybe fine. They're still committed a crime, but they've got away with it. I think the truth is, unless someone goes and complains, so unless someone actually lodges a complaint with the police, that won't be charged. It wouldn't be charged. But and that's why it comes down to just the utter stupidity of it, because you're doing something that, like drink driving, you drink drive home, where you are just rolling a dice as to whether something really serious happens, like you kill yourself or kill someone else, whether you get home safely or whether you actually or you get stopped by the police. They save you from doing anything, killing anyone, but then you're in prison for 6 months. And and the reality is that you indecently expose yourself. You are ultimately you do it to someone who isn't in your group or feels upset by it or has gone through trauma themselves with abuse or anything else, and wants to really make a point about how serious that could be. If you do it in those circumstances, you're going to get charged, you're going to get found guilty, and you're going to spend 6 months in prison or whatever, and you're going to be on the sex offenders register. And that can happen. Or you could do it to someone else who thinks it's a laugh, doesn't say a word, and nothing happens.
Yeah, that's a great point.
You don't know that. And I mean,
I would love to know. That bar owner probably couldn't wait to get his hands that video off to the Sun. He couldn't wait to get that video to the Sun newspaper, could he?
Yeah,
couldn't wait.
It's like, I'm just about to pay off my loan for this venue.
Yeah, he sat there going, I'm going to get quids. And do you know what? That's another thing that this is what I mean, Rich, about footballers need sometimes get that little bit of training outside of, doesn't matter where you are, someone's always watching. Everyone has a camera phone. I always remember something that it was on a documentary. It was, I don't know if anyone ever watched, the Sunderland documentary that was on Netflix.
Yeah, I didn't watch
interviewed, what was he called? The guy who used to be United, went up to Sunderland.
John O'Shea?
No, the other one.
Position?
Gillespie.
No, centre mid.
Oh.
Anyway, there was a guy up there, and he was in a nightclub.
Januzaj? Did Januzaj go to Sunderland at some point?
No, he was an Irish fella. And he basically went up there. He was out in a nightclub. Somebody got a video phone out, and he started telling them all how crap the Sunderland fans were and how crap the club was. And Darren Gibson, thank you, Michael Feeney, that's the one. Started telling all these guys in the club how crap the football club was.
Ivan Toney did the same thing too last.
I'm sat there going, use your brains.
Yeah.
What are you doing? It's like you are drunk in a nightclub, a fan has stuck his damn phone in your face, and you're slagging off the club you play for. Are you mental?
Yeah, and that's why that's why being, if you're really, really in the public eye, you are, best off not doing anything when you're drunk. I mean, going slightly off track, but when Richard Nixon was president of the United States, he told all his aides not to follow any of his orders when he was drunk, because he would get drunk, and the stories go that he would demand that someone got nuked or things like that because he was quite a heavy drinker when he was president, and so he'd demand people got arrested or that they nuked North Korea or things like that. But his aides were told by him not to do anything he told them to do when they were drunk if they thought it was not right, and then they'd come back to him the next day and he'd say, "Oh, yeah, thank you, that was the alcohol talking." And that's the president of the US. So, none of us, when we've had too many drinks, are gonna, most of us aren't gonna do things that we wouldn't do sober. So, however drunk I get, I don't fight. I don't go and start exposing myself or shit like that. So you have to have that in you when you're sober to do it when you're drunk. But what drunkenness will do is make every element of your personality worse.
Wow. As I got told by someone, Rich, if you want to know how someone really is, get them drunk.
Yeah.
The real personality comes out.
Yeah. And everyone has got a friend who, when they get drunk, will manage to get. Yeah, everyone knows someone who, when they're drunk, will manage to get in a fight. Now,
I know
95% of people won't, because it's not in them. It's not in your personality to want to fight or be violent. But in some people it is, and in some people, clearly the way they behave to women or think it's appropriate to behave is, comes out. And for others, others can sit and get drunk and they'll just chat utter nonsense and bore people.
It's just in the old days when Brian Robson and Peter Reid used to meet up in Benny's nightclub in Bury, because they used to own it.
Listen, I've heard all the stories, Alan.
I know.
I used to go in the press club.
Nightmare.
I used to go in the press club in town.
Yeah, they were nightmares.
Who used to have Nicky
if you go back even further, they all used to get absolutely blooded down at Denton at the Fletcher's Arms.
Yeah. I'm not saying, Joe Royal, there was a drinking culture at the football club. Nicky Wee was come out and said that. Yeah. There was a massive drinking culture under Joe Royal, but I'm not.
Richard Dunn used to get on that every weekend too.
I won't tell his name. My brother used to go out clubbing to the press club with Nicky Summerbear. I know exactly what they got up to. I'm not going to say it on air. There was no indecent exposure, but if I told you probably what my brother saw, my brother never took part in any of it, but you'd be shocked.
I've seen some city players get up to all sorts of mischief in the
I get it. I just think some of them need that little bit of help as well. They need to be helped. Anyway,
but Martin, just you probably want to move on, but I just wanted to
move on to Palace.
Just the other side of the coin. Let's have a look at somebody who isn't in the tabloids for the wrong reasons, if he ever is, and that's probably our future captain, Mr. Ruben Diaz. I mean, if you look at him in the 2 or 3 years that we've had at this club, he's never been in the headlines or the tabloids for anything. When he came over from Benfica, he brought over his girlfriend, who at the time was a well-known pop star in Portugal, and she was trying to make a name for herself in the UK, which is understandable. You want to further your career. I get that. But within the space of like a couple of months of him actually moving to the UK, he'd already called off that relationship because the simple fact of the matter was that she was trying to make a name for herself. So she's obviously out at the big parties, at the big events, at the big nightclubs, probably even at their local, probably at a local venue down in Wilmslow as well too, because that's where they all live. But never as soon as he realized that was sort of like her lifestyle and that's how she was going to make a name for herself, he knew that wasn't going to be what he wanted to be known for. He didn't want to be seen in the clubs. He was so focused on his football, on his health, on his, on being a good role model, on being, being the right, the standout sort of player, being the right sort of role model at the club. And I think he's the sort of player that, I think is great for the club that they do put him on. He is basically not the face, but he is put on a lot of things at the club because he's never in the headlines and he's just such a good role model for kids. And I think he is probably, to me, he's the number one player that not just us, our generations, but the young generations should aspire to, because he's never in the headlines for the wrong reasons. And if ever he comes up in conversation, it's always good. He's always done good things both on and off the pitch.
Spot on, and not enough of that gets said.
No.
We're going to move off there. We'll move on to our topic 2 now, Crystal Palace. And this fallacy that Manchester City have a really bad record against Crystal Palace. Again, another little fallacy that goes around, that City always are crap against Palace and we haven't beat them and blah, 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 blah. We've only lost 1 in about the last 18 against them. So let's take away this we always struggle against Palace stuff, because they beat us once in about the last 18 games. We've drawn with them once in the last... we've drawn with them twice in the last 3 times in the last 10. So we have actually won. The last time they actually beat us, we got beat 2021, and then we got beat before that 2018 was the last time they beat us, and the last time they beat us then was 3 years before 2015. So basically, they go a long time. We're not beating us.
Yeah, and I think it's probably exacerbated by things like we were 2-0 down to them this season. So I think it's probably, there's been some important games there that have stuck in our minds a lot. But I think also we have been behind against them and look like we're going to lose when we've come through.
That's the thing, isn't it, Rich?
Yeah.
When you remember certain games, your narrative can change and you suddenly think, we always struggle against this lot, and it's like
but there's other teams like that we play that we've beaten like 12 times on the trot or 15 times on the trot, or we've scored against Newcastle 29 times on the trot. There's a lot of stats which are absolutely amazing for us against teams like Bournemouth, Villa, Newcastle. So, for a team who've generally been in the bottom half of the league to have got a result against us four times out of the last 10 does actually stand out a bit compared to a lot of the clubs around them, who we've probably won 8 or 9 of the last 10 against. So, and I think even some of the victories have been pretty tight. There's been some pretty tight games that we've won. Well,
the last time they beat us was 2021 at the Etihad. They then beat us at the last time they beat us then was at the Etihad 2018. So yes, Jack Lee's right. They have beaten us twice, but there's a 3-year gap in between that, Jack.
How many teams have beaten us twice? Yeah, but how many times?
Our record itself against them is probably better than at the Etihad. Yeah.
How many teams have beaten us twice at the Etihad between the Centurion season and today? I don't reckon it's that many. United, obviously.
You know what, Rich? I'm just checking. Do you know we normally score a bag full against them as well?
Yeah, but how many teams have beaten us twice at the Etihad since 2018? United have. Has anyone else?
I don't know about a bag full, because I'm just going to go back and look at the head-to-head, because I think the last time we sort of scored bagfuls against them.
Well, I'll give you the last 10. The last time we beat them was 4-2, 0-0 last year, 2-0, 2-0, 4-0, 3-0, 2-0, 3-1, 3-2, 5-0, 5-0, 3-0, 2-1, 4-0, 5-1. Do you understand me? If you go back over the 10-year period, we've scored quite a lot.
Yeah, the 5-0s are like 5 years and 6 years and beyond now. But no, look, as Rich alluded to, I think our record against them at Selhurst is better in recent years. Is better than what it's been at the Etihad.
I'll tell you what,
sorry, Alan, just wanted to finish too. The other thing with the Palace game that also fascinates me is it always seems to be a game that's better than what you expect it to be when you look at it on paper. Because if you try to put a combined 11 between the Palace players and the City players, it's very difficult to try and get maybe 2 or 3 Palace players in there. But when they get on the pitch, Palace play like as if half the squad's worthy of getting in a combined 11. So it's always a good game. They make something of it, and I have a bit of a respect for Palace because they do. I
don't think Liverpool have beaten us twice at the Etihad in that time. I think it's probably United and Palace. I can't.
But I'm including the Champions League in that as well, Rich.
Yeah, that was before that, wasn't it? Wasn't that back in like 16, 17 or something?
No.
So I think we've got to be fair to them. If they've beaten us twice at the Etihad, we're probably. Yeah. It's probably them and United.
And those games stick out because the first one was the Laporte red card, and then the other one was absolutely worldly from Andros Townsend.
What I make it is people talk about Crystal Palace as though like it's Tottenham away, and we haven't won there in 6 years, and we haven't scored a goal there, and everyone it's the panic. People talk about Palace as though it's a bogey team for us. And it ain't no bogey team. No, if you said
I reckon relatively to two. Yeah, I reckon compared to 3/4 of the clubs in the Premier League and league position and stuff, Palace is probably a bogey team.
Yep.
I reckon there's plenty of teams who we've won every single game against in that period, or we've maybe dropped 1 point, and against Palace, you're saying we've essentially dropped about 10, 12 points out of the last 30 or whatever. I reckon there's plenty of Premier League teams we've got 30 points out of 30 or 28.
Well,
in the bottom half of the league.
I mean, it depends how far back you want to go. We'll go back 7 years, 2015 to 2022. The last time we played them, we've won 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 times.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, where's this boginess come from?
Well,
because everyone else has beaten 16 times.
If I ask Rich, and I want to use a golf analogy, and I'll ask Rich, and I want to use this as a golf analogy because I can see his TaylorMade driver in the background.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't call them a bogey team so much as they're like a scrambling the safe pass sort of team, where if we do get a result, it is a grind. You got to play the full 90 minutes to get something out of them. Whether you're not playing well and you're trying to get a draw, or whether it's really grinding out a result because they may have gone 1 or 2 goals ahead, which is what they did back in August. If I wanted to use a golf analogy, they're not a bogey team, but you have to scramble against them.
Yeah, and I just don't remember, watching Palace. There's a lot of teams I look back and I think when we play, say, Villa, who, we've probably beaten Villa like 27 times out of the last 30 or something ridiculous, where we've had a draw where we dropped points, and we look back and we've had some scares and stuff, but generally you look back and you think most of those games you remember wins, you remember goals, you remember things not being that hard. Palace generally, I do feel when I think of Palace games, I don't think of easy games. I do think of games where we've been made to work. I do remember the 0-0 draw or the defeats. I do remember this season where in the first half we were 2-0 down at half time, weren't we? And we looked like we played a brilliant second half, but we were absolutely shocking, and it felt like it was going to be a defeat, a bit like the Tottenham home game where I think the first half lingers longer in my memory than the comeback, and so it almost it was a victory, but there was an element of it when you look back that you don't remember the victory. You remember going 2-0 down at half time. And I think Palace,
that's what I mean.
I think Palace are tough for us. I think because they've generally got big physical fast forwards. They like to play on the break. And I think they play in a way that doesn't suit our team that much. Whereas I think there's other teams down the bottom who we've probably won 10 out of 10 against, and they haven't laid a finger on us. Like Leicester City were always like that. Leicester City weren't a bogey team in that we still beat Leicester an absolute ton, but 3 or 4 times Leicester beat us.
Yeah.
But 3 or 4 times Leicester beat us because on their day, when they played that Vardy ball, they could, do a lot of damage to the way we play football.
I think
of course.
They remind me of an old Bolton team, and Bolton Wanderers used to play in your face, very difficult to play against. You have to win the battle to win the game, and
not been difficult to play against recently.
Yeah, but that's right. But one thing Patrick will make sure is that they'll battle and they'll be fast and hard, and it is a physical game when we play against them. It is a physical game, Martin.
No, I don't understand. They've won 2 games since November the 1st.
Yeah, I know. Well,
we're now in March.
And there's still 12, which just shows probably how bad this is the bottom half of the
but that's what I'm saying. They've won 2 games in the league since the 1st of November.
How many have they drawn?
They have drawn. Well, it's going all the way back. They got the.
If you're going to be 12 and not win since November, then they have a ton of draws in there. Yeah.
Sorry, they got beat by Forest.
5 draws.
They got smacked by Fulham. They beat Bournemouth. Then they drew against Newcastle, drew against United, beat by Chelsea, beat by Southampton, smashed by Tottenham, drew with Palace, drew with Brentford, drew with Brighton.
Is that Selhurst Park? Never easy.
Yeah, they get a lot of draws more at Selhurst Park.
That's right. Okay, so it's not going to be easy, mate. I'll tell you that now. Small pitches.
I'm not going to say it's easy, but I don't think we should go with any fear.
No.
If we turn up on our day, we beat them.
Well, that's it. We've got to do that. Well, how many times have we actually turned up?
Well, we're 7 unbeaten at the moment. Top goal scorers in the league.
Well, hopefully we can keep it going.
I love all this negativity. It's like we're shit.
Why is it negative? I'm making it an objection.
I just think it's an important fixture because when we think about it on Sunday, Arsenal have to go away at Fulham. That's not going to be easy, given the fact that they grinded out a 2-2 draw against away at Lisbon as well.
Great point. Here's a point for you all. Does it help that City are playing first all the time now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. I prefer to be doing that.
Yeah, I would as well.
I think it's a little bit less pressure.
Listen, I'm not saying it won't be an easy game. I mean, see, last season, Big Mo said we drew 0-0. If you remember that game, because I remember doing the watch along, we absolutely spanked them. It was the most one-sided 0-0 draw you've ever probably seen. If you remember, we had like 30 odd chances, and we couldn't. Do you remember that it was the game when we just kept putting balls across the 6-yard box? Because I remember going, "Can we have Haaland now?"
Yeah, I remember the game.
I remember
that was the one game that the false 9 didn't.
We also were guilty of trying to walk it in that day.
We absolutely pounded them. We just couldn't put the ball in the bag. Couldn't go in the onion bag. Now, if we go there
don't say that. I hate that phrase, the onion bag. You sound like that guy off ESPN. Oh, God, what was his name? Oh, God, he used to drive me nuts.
Anyway, I'm not... If you want to win the league...
Here's the thing for you, Martin. I've just done a little thing. Palace are a bogey team. In the 4...
Oh, God, here they go.
In the last 4 seasons, City have averaged 2.4 points a game. And in those 4 seasons, we averaged 1.75 points against Palace.
No, Rich,
therefore, we are significantly statistically worse against Palace than we are on average against the rest of the
Okay, then, Rich. Are we going to start with XG in then? So, XG then, United should be top of the league by about 15 points.
Well, that's because they haven't got a decent striker. It's like Nunes.
God. I know you're throwing me mindless stats at me.
No, it's not a mindless stat. It is a simple fact.
You're the one who brought up XG, man.
If me and you
never use XG, and you bring it up.
Yeah. If over 4 seasons we've won the league 3 times and we're averaging 2.4 points a game, and against a team who's probably been in the bottom half every one of those seasons, we've averaged 1.75. which is significantly
All right,
below
then,
our
Rich.
average.
The last 5 times we've played them,
If we played Palace every week, we wouldn't have won the league once.
At the end of the day,
We'd
Rich,
have played
the last
Europa
5
League
days,
at football.
how many times have we won in the last 5 times we've played Palace? 3, drawn 1 and lost 1.
Yeah.
Where's the boginess?
That compared to nearly every other team in the Premier League, that's bogey. That's Martin. 3 wins. 3 wins and a draw is 10 points.
Alan, you agree with everyone who's against me because you were so negative. It's unreal.
Martin, can I just give you a bit of mathematical fact here, right? 3 wins, a draw, and a loss means we're averaging what?
That's a bogey team to you.
We're averaging 10 points in 15, right? That is 76 points a season. That is third or fourth place. So, and we win the league. So if we played Palace every week, we'd be scraping Champions League football, not winning the league. So on average, they are mathematically, indisputably, factually, a bogey team.
Right, then me and you have a different thing on a bogey.
That's because
team,
I'm relying on science and statistics.
Oh, God.
Well, absolute garbage. Absolute garbage I've ever heard. He's off again with one of his philosophical bloody rants. Give over.
So they're a bogey team.
Bring your Vader in. No, he's not. You just said to me, because of that, listen, stats are not everything. Stats work in some things. Shut up, you two.
We're talking about results and points, and they are the stats that determine everything in football.
I'm with Blue Out. Rich, I think your stats
XG.
indicate that stats are rubbish. Thank you very much. Good night,
Oh, Rich, brilliant.
If you'd have said Tottenham at White Hart Lane, then yeah, I'm with you, Rich. That's a bogey team.
That's not a bogey team. That's a bloody car crash catastrophe.
Yeah, that's just 0 points by default.
To me, Martin, a bogey team is a team who you should do better against, and you do a bit worse than average. Us at Tottenham is just inexplicably mental. I mean,
after watching, Richard, after watching Tottenham yesterday, how the hell do we get beat by them?
I don't know how our under-14s would have lost to them.
Oh, do you know what makes me laugh? Do you know what makes me laugh? If you said to me, we've not won at Old Scaffold for like 30 years, like we went, that's a bogey team. If we go to Clanfield and don't win for 40 years, then that's a bogey team. You're giving me little. Oh, they won a game 5 years ago, so they're a bogey team. Give over,
Martin. Going to most teams don't win at Old Trafford or Anfield. The reality is
that's why Liverpool.
Do you know who used to be a bogey team in the pre-Pep era? Do you know who used to be a bogey team? Was Sunderland.
Yeah.
Sunderland always got a result. We never. Yeah.
Thank you, Alec Johnson. We lost to Palace in 1956. Give you never wobble, Rich.
I wish that was.
Where you going here, mate?
No.
We lost in 1906.
We underperform versus Palace.
It's Colin Bell's fault.
We underperform versus Palace more than virtually any other team in the Premier League, and that's a reality. So
this wasn't scheduled for a Rich rant.
Well, you had one.
Yeah, but it's a Thursday night. It's always going to be a bit of Richie rant in there.
Yeah. I mean, Rich did come with some facts.
When people go against facts and science,
the only time he turns up now
is conspiracy.
Martin, you're just being hypocritical, bringing up the XG, which you said was absolute taboo on this show.
Nobody.
So where do you stand with it, mate?
Anyway, we're moving on. Vader, good evening. How are you?
I'm good, guys. I've been listening, getting back home. So fun stuff as always. Rich brought up some stats that we got it.
Way back to 1906 now.
American sport is built on stats. Martin, I all respect it.
And comparing those stats to history.
Built on stats, crap.
Historical stats.
You sound like them United fans. We should have won the game because our XG was 3 times the more than what City was. Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
XG is a great stat for showing how shit Nunes is.
XG was brought in for absolute crap teams who wanted to try and win an argument.
No, it's a good
XG was
measure.
brought in to compare Nunez to Andy Carroll.
Exactly.
On just a
XG
physical
was.
basis.
Here's the thing, Rich.
It's a
According
good
to
measure
XG,
of-
Darwin Nunes is a deadlier striker than Haaland.
No, that's not
It is.
XG.
According to XG, it is.
No, XG.
You're talking about XG again, Martin.
XG is
Calm down.
expected
Have you
goals,
said-
Martin. XG is how many goals you should score, not how many you do score. So if you're like Nunes and your actual goals is less than half your XG, it means you are an absolutely dreadful striker.
I've had
because your
Liverpool
team
fans
puts
all
it on a
day
plate and
coming
you
at
miss.
me telling me Darwin Nunes statistically is a better striker than Erling Haaland.
That's because they
They
don't
don't have
understand.
eyes.
Martin, listen. That's because they don't understand the stat. XG is how many goals. It's how many goals you should score. So if Darwin Nunes is given 20 tap-ins and he only scores 10, his XG is good. His actual goal scored is terrible because he's a terrible finisher and he bottles it. So in that case, XG is a measure of how bad Darwin Nunes is. Whereas Haaland has a goal scored far higher than his XG because he's a brilliant finisher.
No, XG is not seen as that. XG seen as
a brilliant finisher.
But Rich, people don't use XG like that. XG
That's because they're stupid and they don't understand it.
Bloody hell, Rich! Bloody hell! What's up? Have you had some Valium tonight? What's up with you?
I'm just dealing with obtuseness.
He's in a right mood, isn't he? He's in a right one tonight.
Yeah, but Martin, you've already had your Costa coffee, and you've already
You
got
brought in
jumping on your
XG.
high horse talking about XG and
The most
bloody
irritating thing.
carrying on.
We're going to Veta.
Absolute waffle merchant.
Yeah, right. Crystal Palace.
Even
Yeah,
Alan's lost interest.
I don't think you're gonna like what I have to say, Martin.
He's another one we're going to struggle. Everyone's on the depression. Alan, it's bloody spread round now. Everyone's on the depression mode.
No, I'm not.
Here, treble father, #believe, and everyone's gone into it now.
Martin,
Jesus.
facts are not depression. You only achieve the right outcomes by accepting the correct facts. And Pep does look at facts. Pep does look at statistics, and he will be fired up a little bit more for Palace than some of the other games because he knows it's hard, and therefore we're more likely to play better and we're more likely to win.
Rich, you sound like these Newcastle fans who told me that City were lucky to get a 2-0 win last week.
No, I
Give
don't,
up.
because
You do.
I'm basing it on facts.
Alan, you're the only City fan I know who's actually said this. Well, that's fine.
Let me say this, because we have to look at this game. What you asked me makes perfect sense with regards to this match, but I think we all need to keep in mind, look at this calendar and realize that when we play on Saturday, we're playing again 3 days later. So Pep is he has to be looking at what available bodies am I playing in this game while keeping an eye on what available bodies do I still want to have available for the Champions League second leg. So that's where I'm kind of like, this is a tough one because Vieira does make the matches difficult. He plays a physical game. He makes sure to have a physical game with his midfielders. So that's something we can expect. And we're going to be looking at quality players for Saturday and quality players for Wednesday.
Yep, you're going to rotate. I'll say that now.
Pardon?
He'll rotate he will rotate the players and leave some big names out for Wednesday.
Martin, Alan, I don't even think you'll have to rotate because you've just had back-to-back week gaps between fixtures.
Yeah.
So the players are fit, rejuvenated, ready to go. I think he's ready to put his core players on
Apart
the
from
play
Kyle
every
Walker.
3 days. Yeah, apart from Kyle Walker. Every 3 days. Well, he'll put him in goal. Every 3 days. Up until possibly there may be a fixture where you can allow a bit of rotation.
I'm not sure.
Give over it. I'm just saying, never mind that crap. You're going nowhere in 20 minutes. You're staying. Listen, it comes on once a week, does 40 minutes and pisses off.
He likes a little hit and run on you, Martin.
He's like part-time Rich at the minute. I'm going to start calling him part-time Rich. Anyway.
That'd be a good name for a song. Elton John or something, couldn't it?
Actually, that's me a day after my pay comes through every fortnight.
I was going to bring up the Champions League game, but then I did think, mate, like Pat just said, we've had a week off. They've had a full week's rest.
Back to back. They've had 6-7 days for consecutive weeks, yeah.
Because to be totally honest, one is just as important as the other one for me this weekend. Mm-hmm. Wednesday night is just as important as Saturday, and Saturday is just as important as Wednesday. We're in a situation where we can't drop points really now.
No, we can't. We can't draw.
So to me, we have to go full blast on Saturday evening. Mm. Mm. We have to do.
Yeah. Ideally, in a perfect world, both Palace and Leipzig, we're 3-0 up at half time or 3-0 up, with 30 minutes to play. Yeah. Then that's perfect. That's perfect for rotating and keeping players fresh before the next stretch of games.
Yeah, go for it. Get this game over as quick as you can. Then I will start taking you off. I think that might be the better scenario, because if you said to me right now, to you, which game is more important to you, Saturday or Wednesday? Saturday or Tuesday? I'm saying Wednesday, Tuesday.
No, they're both of equal importance, but I think here's where we have to look at the strength of our squad and realize that he's going to trust players to be strong on Saturday, and maybe trust a few different players that have been rested to play strong on Wednesday.
Yeah. So the other thing is that we're not playing till Saturday night, and it's the FA Cup, and though I think that's the most important. Clearly, City and the squad don't. So I think he'll also know if he wants to play KDB or Gundogan twice, Saturday and Tuesday, he'll know, or Wednesday, he can rest a few players on Saturday night, because I think if we were playing, a top team in the Premier League next weekend, it would be far harder, because then it'd be a game we absolutely, ultimately Premier League above everything. It'll be a game we absolutely cannot lose. But the fact it's Burnley afterwards, I think, will mean that Pep thinks that 3 or 4 or 5 players can be rotated for Burnley, and therefore I think he can for once, and I'm normally the absolute advocate of rotation all the time. For once, I think Pep can go for the best 11 he thinks tactically for Palace and for Leipzig, and not
even with what.
Let me jump in for a second, Martin. Sorry, and the reason I agree with Rich is, let's not forget as well too. Once Palace is out of the way, once Leipzig's out of the way,
it's Burnley, and then international football.
We can go full pelt with our best 11 for 3 games straight every 3 days, because after that, they've got nothing to worry about. And the only thing that we bloody worry about when international break comes up is, God, I hope they all come back fit.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what we care about. We don't care about the results. We just I hope they all come back fit.
I might have misheard that. Are you saying go full strength for 3 games? I thought Rich was saying go full
strength.
No,
I'm saying he can go full strength Saturday and Wednesday, and against Burnley, you can look at the fitness of the players, and if they're all fit,
I'd even go full strength against Burnley.
I disagree, Rich. Pep said the next 3 games determine our season.
Well, in a way they do, because we could be out of 3 of.
So that's what I mean.
They're all 3 separate important events, right?
Yeah.
It's league.
Yeah. I think he goes strong all 3.
He goes strong all 3, and the only way he would rotate is, as I mentioned, if he was 3 or 4-0 up with 30 minutes to play.
When is international break?
It's the weekend after Burnley.
Yeah.
Why have we got another international break? Jesus.
I know.
What are we doing now, Gareth?
They always seem to happen. Martin, they always seem to happen at the wrong time, don't they?
Do you know what makes me laugh? Do you know they've extended the season out? Get rid of the bloody international break. We wouldn't have had to do this. We've just had 2 months of an international break.
Yeah,
it's weird when the Champions League final makes it to June. Like, I think the last couple of years, it's been around about June 1st, June 2nd. This season, it's June the 10th. It's June the 10th. Most of the players should be on. Most of the players should be in the bloody Mediterranean on their private boats and that.
Well, I was hoping to be, but I've got to wait now in case we get to the final. Because my son wants me to take him to Istanbul.
Yep. And then
I was waiting for Alan to jump on that.
And then if you look at it, if City were able to make the Champions League final, that's only a month before they're technically back on the road with pre-season. Because I think the first pre-season, which is that match they're proposing to play in India, is meant to be around about July 11th, July 12th or something.
I'll be going somewhere silly like India, and that's nothing against the Indian amazing fans over there. But you know what I mean? You know, we're not travelling close by here. We're coming back and going straight to the other side of the bloody world. And
to be honest with you, I would love to go do the pre-season in India. The problem is, you need Australian passport holders need a visa to go there. And as much as I'd love to go, I can't justify getting a visa knowing that I'm going to go for 3 days for one game. If the whole pre-season was there, I'd be there in a heartbeat. But getting back, look, that's sidetracked. But anyway, as I said, like 10th of June is the final. And then the players are only going to have a month. Half of them aren't going to be ready to come back for even the last game of the preseason.
No wonder Julian
Alvarez. And let's not forget if we get the Community Shield too.
Julian Alvarez is going 5 years with no rest. He's just going to go. Yeah. They'll burn him by the time he's 20. By the time he's 27, burn him out.
If that was a regular work job, he would be sitting on about 1,200 hours of annual leave or something after 5 years.
Okay. I mean, Alan, would you go full strength the next 3? Just screw it with this international break? Or are you prioritising?
No, I would go full strength for Saturday because we have to, because we've got to keep winning. We've got to go full strength on Wednesday, definitely. But I'd rotate for the cup game.
But only if you have to. I mean, that's the thing, Martin, that with the cup game, we've got the luxury that Pep can, because there's no game after it, Pep can talk to the medical team and he can say who is at peak fitness to play. And if everyone's peak fitness to play, he can play them. But if the medical team say, no, Rodri really needs a rest because he's going to play for Spain twice a week, or they say, don't risk Haaland, he's at 89% fitness and don't risk him against Burnley, we can rest him. The medical team say everyone's perfect. We can, that's the bit, and we don't have to decide today who we play against Burnley. I think ultimately you play your best team possible tactically and availability wise against Palace. You then make that same decision against Leipzig, and it won't necessarily be the same side because he may well think there's some games where back four and Walker, suits, or he may think there's sides where an inverted fullback suits. He may think there's a game where Mahrez, he may think, Palace, that's not Mahrez's thing, but Leipzig at home, that's made for Mahrez. So he's going to make some tactical changes as well. So ultimately, I think he plays the best team he can against Palace. He plays the best team he can against Leipzig, and he plays the best team he has against Burnley. But it won't necessarily be the same team. Because
is this where, but Rich, great point, but is this where Mahrez, Laporte and others come in now? Because I know we're sat there and we're saying, well, weaken down, strength and rest. But when you look at it, John Stones is yet to come back. And Rick Laporte, we know, even though he's rumoured to be going all over Europe, you've got Riyad Mahrez, who's been sat on the bench. You've got Julian Alvarez, who's been sat on the bench. Any of them four can walk straight into a team.
Yeah, and they might. I suspect that he'll make tactical decisions. Like, for example, Foden complained about his foot after Newcastle. So maybe Foden's not in a state that he can play all 3 games. So, he will look at the fullbacks. Do we want proper fullbacks or do we want an inverted fullback and back 3? Are we playing a team who are dangerous in the air or are dangerous on the break? Because look at Laporte and Akanji. You've got one player who's weak in the air, but very quick and very strong on the ground. Another player who's definitely stronger in the air. You've got, Stones and Laporte, who are our best defenders, playing out from the back, breaking the lines. Does that become tactically important in a game? because of the way that team sets up. So Pep's not just going to Pep probably doesn't have this is my 11. He has this is my 11 in this type of game. This is my 11 in this type of game. And he will make some changes, even if everyone's fit. He will make some changes because of individual players or tactics he wants to deal with. And so I think probably even if everyone's fit and everyone could play all three, we'd probably start 14 or 15 different players in those 3 games for tactical reasons.
Okay, Vader and Alan, come to you on this, and Pat and Rich eventually. That front 3 we've got, Foden, Haaland, Grealish. Would anyone change that Saturday?
Yes, I would.
Okay, what for?
I'd put Foden on the bench because he's carrying something, a knock from last week. I put Mahrez in.
All right, say Foden's fit.
Mahrez.
You've got Foden right now.
I would rest him for Wednesday.
So you're putting Wednesday more important than Saturday?
We need to win the Champions League.
See, I'd be the opposite.
Wouldn't it be? Wouldn't it be more of a?
I'd play Mahrez against
Champions League. Yeah. That's what Pep's saving him for.
That's what I'd do.
Because at the end of the day, the Champions League is more about the control, and that's what Mahrez brings.
I like that front 3 because Kyle said something last week, and it was spot on. I think the 3 of them give exactly what Pep wants. One's control, one's chaos, one's just goals.
Clinical. Control, chaos.
Right. It's like it's 3 of perfection.
He might even put Foden on the bench for both games.
No, he won't.
It depends if he's got
unless that ankle is worse than what we first.
He's got a knock.
Yeah.
If he's got a knock, he ain't playing.
No, that's fair. But if he's fully fit, he starts for me. He's the most. He's on fire. You cannot.
If City've got any brains, he plays a couple of games this week and then he misses international duty.
Yeah, I'm not being funny. Phil Foden missed nearly half this season. I don't want him sat on the bench anymore. We've just got him back playing world-class football. He plays for me.
Yeah. But you don't want to. Let's just leave it to the medical team. The medical team are experts in what they do. They will look at Foden and they will say, based on what's happened to his foot, he's either it's gonna be no danger to play.
That's good. Put that back. Just put that back up again. Just put that back up again, please. That is quality. I'm just going to take a screenshot.
That's gone for the comment of the night. Can't walk.
It's gently embarrassing.
I mean, personally, you should have waited till the summertime. I mean, the winter's not really the ideal situation for doing what he did. But anyway, no. Vader, would you change any of that front 3?
Because of the little knock that Foden kind of claimed to have or is managing, I actually thought, might see Grealish, Haaland, and Mahrez as the front 3 versus Crystal Palace. I don't see Haaland being dropped at all. I see him playing like to what you guys said in terms of like playing our best 11 on as long as they can. I don't think Haaland gets dropped at all.
He might get dropped for Burnley. I think we might not.
Yeah, or it might even be a case where we see an Alvarez and Haaland.
We'll get to that.
Is there a case for Grealish? Is there a case then for Grealish, Haaland, and Alvarez?
No. Against Burnley, yeah, I think we'll see. And against Burnley, I think we'll see Alvarez, Foden, and Grealish or something.
We'll come to Burnley.
Alvarez does give you that energy against that.
I don't see Pep taking the chance against Company. No chance. Don't see.
And second thoughts, actually, I just thought about Alvarez, Martin, too. Is like if Alvarez was to play against Palace, it would just be like when he was up against Bristol. Those defenders will just run straight.
Alvarez would be no good against Palace for me.
Leipzig and Burnley more likely.
Yeah.
It's
a small pitch, Palace. Smallest pitch in the Premier, isn't it? So it's probably the least suited in some ways to Alvarez, and to a degree Foden loves that space. whereas Mahrez and Grealish probably operate in less of an area.
FIFA, the 8th, front three, Grealish, Haaland,
Yeah, I don't know.
Surprised he didn't put Carson in there.
I see Foden rested for Champions League for whatever reason. And
I look at cups later, and he doesn't really play weakened teams.
No, but when we say weakened, I
don't think Mahrez choosing two from Mahrez, Foden, and Grealish is weakened. 2 weeks ago, Mahrez would have been the first name on every one of our team sheets, and then Foden's Grealish has been good since January, but Haaland's generally been excellent this year, and then Foden's come back with a couple of really good games, and Foden's obviously nearly every City fan's favourite. So I don't think rotating between those three is weakening the team. I don't think you go 2 weeks ago, Marlon Grealish was our strongest pairing with Haaland.
Yeah.
This week we might say it's Grealish and Foden, but equally it could be Foden and Mahrez. I mean, that isn't weakening and rotating. It's like if we take out Akanji and bring in John Stones, or we take out Ake and bring in Laporte.
You are weakening the team. Yeah, massively rich. John Stones, Akanji's not in John Stones' league. Man.
Yeah, exactly. So if we drop Akanji, bring in Stones, a fit Stones, obviously bringing in Stones first game back, he won't be at his peak. But, I still think that Stones and Laporte, if they're both fit and they're both back in form and they're mentally right, it's better even than Diaz.
This has always been my issue with the FA Cup. Don't get to a quarter final and then start dicking around with it. You don't go all this way and then play. Oh, tell you what, let's start messing around and weakening the team. There's no point in that. We might as well have gone out third round than playing this little game.
And if it's done this weekend, given the international break, it's just dumb.
But we talked about it 4 months ago.
You go all out before the international break.
Yeah. I think there's only really
a quarter or a semi-final and then throwing it out. You might as well have done that in the third round and give them a few weeks off.
There's only 3 players,
and then chuck it against Burnley.
Yeah, I think there's only really probably 3 players who ultimately, if we leave them out, we are making a conscious call to weaken the team. Because in attacking midfield, we have Bernardo, Gundogan, De Bruyne. We play 2 of those 3. I would argue. I think we could all sit around and argue who are the 2 best to play. I don't think playing Bernardo instead of Gundogan or, Bernardo and Gundogan is a weakened midfield. I think it's a choice. Same with Grealish, Mahrez and Foden. I think whilst Foden at his peak, is above the other 2 without any question, I don't think it's a weakened team. Same at centre-back. We've got 5 quality centre-backs, and the 2 who we would say were the weakest of the 5 until this season arguably have played the most football and been the strongest for us this season overall. I'd say the only 3 players who we're weakening aside if we don't play them is Rodri, because the step off to step off from Rodri's massive. Haaland,
1 minute,
step off's massive, and by nature, if we drop Ederson, that's showing we're weakening the side. So
I think you also have to point out at left back.
It's not weakness.
I think it's also keeping in consideration with regards to left back. I think Ake is undroppable right now, and who do we really have as an option for him? Is it Gomez to be over there, or is it Laporte? So I think we add another name to that list, Rich. And
if you play 4 at the back, I agree. But if we play 3 at the back, then Laporte is a world-class left centre back. So if we played Stones, Laporte, and Diaz as a back 3, that's not weak.
I think City will rotate, and that includes centre halves, full backs, play 3 at the back. He'll mix and match up front for us. I think he'll rotate on Saturday. I think he'll play his best unit on Wednesday, because it's not saying he prioritises Champions League. We've got to win that tournament.
Yeah,
I don't care what anyone says. We've got to win.
And I honestly think
to winning it. I just want this match. I want that match wrapped up by half time.
No, we don't, Al.
I think to win the Champions League, we are going to need either Laporte or Stones in that centre-back pairing, because I think we're at our best when we have our best passing centre backs, and that whole team plays better with them. So, you know, we can go Diaz and Stones, we can go Diaz, Laporte, Stones, but I think we're going to need one of those two who are a step above the others in terms of playmaking from defence. If we want to be back to our best, I think we are going to need that. And so I think at some point we're going to need to give Stones
and Diaz all day.
Team. Sorry?
Stone and Diaz are our best two centre-halves, without a doubt.
I think our best is Stones, Laporte, but Diaz's leadership at the moment, I think, is needed. Even if I think slightly better with Laporte, Stones.
This is going to be
made a difference.
I don't know how long you've got, Rich.
Minus 1 minute, 2 minutes.
Right, you get going then, mate.
Yeah.
I'll text you because we've got loads of shows this week. So we'll have a chat about your available there.
Yeah,
I've got someone.
We're going to stop Rich being part-time Rich.
Martin,
part-time Richie.
Martin, make sure you ring me after as well, because I've got someone else to come on to the station for a once only. So you can come on and just sit on the panel as well. It's someone that you know very, very well.
Is it the wrong David Oldfield?
He lives near you, Rich.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I'll ring you. I'll ring you this weekend because we've got to arrange a certain event in a couple of weeks' time.
All right. Talk to him about that privately.
He's going to take you to the Slug and Lettuce. Bye.
Duck and dog.
In Wilmslow.
Anyway, this is a debate I was going to bring up. KDB. Now, this is not a KDB's crap debate because he's not. He's world class. But this is KDB one you may take out for an Alvarez, for just as an example, to maybe take him out the firing line, just to gain that little bit of confidence? Or is he just so good, you're taking away a possible moment in the game that can twist?
Plays in both games and rested against Burnley.
Everyone's resting against Burnley. But again, I'm back to this problem, Alan. We shouldn't have gone this far in it if we were going to just throw it away.
Mate, we've got to rest players. We have to rotate.
I don't think we do. We've had back-to-back weeks where they've had a week gap between games. When we finally get into playing every 3 days, we then have an international break. You're telling me the players aren't fit enough to play every 3 days just for a week before they don't have to do that again?
Yeah, I've just paid 75 quid on tickets. I'm not watching a bloody reserve game, thanks very much.
What do you mean for against Burnley?
How much did you pay for Burnley?
75.
£75 for your Burnley ticket. What, for one person?
Three people.
Oh, that's okay then. Yeah, because I paid 35. So that was all right.
I think it's a tough one when we look at
it over again.
Yeah, mate. I'm heading back over on Thursday. So anybody in the Greater Manchester area, I'll be in on St Patrick's Day morning, Friday 17th. And if you're around, I would love to hang out because you know me, I love being over in Manchester, even if the football wasn't on. It's
a good job you work for Qantas.
Yeah, mate.
Anyway, go on, Vader.
I was just gonna say it's a difficult one when we kind of look at when we really take a step back and we look at some of our past performances. I think they've been rested. The fact that it's going to be 3 games in a row and 3 days in between, I think there may be some tired legs. These are players I know the young 30s shouldn't be really saying it that way, but we've seen what maybe a third game might mean to a Rodri if it's playing a strong 90 minutes for the next 2 games going into the Burnley game. We can see what tired legs with KDB kind of looks like. So I don't know. I think my gut's telling me right now is that we might actually see an 11 without KDB versus Crystal Palace, and see KDB maybe be subbed on throughout the game, but definitely ready to play against Champions League. That's kind of like my gut right now, but who knows with Pep?
I could see Kevin starting all 3. Sure, he'll get benched. He'll get benched, at some point during the game because we've agreed. The last couple of shows, he's not an every 3-day player anymore. He can't do it. He just can't do it. But again, there's several factors with Kevin De Bruyne. He's good enough. He's just had back to back, as I said, back to back week rests, which is fine. He's had time with his family. He's had time away from training, so he's ready to go. You start against Palace. Start against Leipzig because we want to win the game, and you'll start against Burnley because his fellow countryman is the opposing manager and one of his best mates in Vincent Kompany. And let's be honest too, he'll probably want to put 100% into all 3 games and then probably fake an injury because he's out of favour with the Belgian squad, given what happened during the World Cup as well.
Yeah, that's what I'd do. Go hell for leather these next 3 games. Drop out your internationals.
No one gives a toss about the internationals. Go hammer and tongs on this week.
It's like
hammer and tongs.
Why do we need to rest for Burnley? They don't need 3 weeks off.
When they've just been rested.
If you get rested for Burnley, you're 3 weeks off.
I think the problem is we just come into that we come into that every 3-day mentality because when we think about previous seasons at this time of year, we are playing every 3 days, and I was in that false trap. I felt myself in that trap as well too, where I felt like, oh, should we rotate? And then you realize, hang on a sec. Normally, when we're playing in early March, we are playing, in 3 competitions. We've just come off a Carabao Cup final. We are playing every 3 days. This World Cup's changed everything. Again, this is another reason why the season's unlike anything else. We're at a time of the year where we are so used to playing every 3 days that the second we don't do it, automatically our mindset is just thinking we've got to rotate. But we just had back-to-back 6-7 day breaks between matches. The players will be ready to go, absolute 110%. Sure, I think if things go the right way, then obviously Pep will be able to manage and be able to bring his best players off after 60 minutes or 70 minutes, and then give players that need game time a little bit of a run and things like that. But nothing's guaranteed in football. So if it comes to where he may have to play, his big names, his Gundogan's, his De Bruyne's every 3 minutes or 3 games straight, he knows he can do it because they're sitting on an international break afterwards.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is for me. It is, and I keep saying it. If we weren't going to take the Burnley serious, don't go all out to beat Arsenal and Chelsea in the 3rd and the 4th round, and then chuck the baby out with the bathwater when you face Burnley in the quarters.
Vinny will demand that Pep. Vincent Kompany will demand that Pep puts full strength out there because if he wants to be challenged as a manager and wants to, test himself against the best and see if he is, worthy of being a good enough manager to be in the Premier League, whether that's, he's still at Burnley takes him up or, his success with Burnley this season may mean that he gets an upgrade to an established Premier League team, then he'll want to play against the best that we have.
No,
there's no way you want to play like a rotated 3rd or 4th round FA Cup draw sort of squad. It's, as you said, it's a quarterfinal. They're ready to go.
Your sort of question, I'm not sure if the look on your face is you disagree or you're questioning or what. I don't know. I'm trying to read your face.
No. I'm looking in my brain as I'm trying to think of the 11. And when I say rotation or when I say maybe even rested, it's not a he's throwing on Palmer, Gomez, Rico in that 3rd game versus Burnley. That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm just thinking that when we have Silva, Gundogan, and KDB, we know that all 3 of them, depending on what formation Pep does, aren't going to be playing every game. If we think 3 at the back is probably going to be his approach, then if I'm hearing this out loud with regards to our best 11, then it's Gundogan, KDB, and Silva that are on that pitch because it allows for an extra midfielder, and I don't see him doing that 3 days straight. So there is going to be some rotation, and I believe he might flirt with KDB not being in the first game. I see him playing, and a rested KDB is amazing. He's all over the pitch, and he's accurate, and he's not really. He doesn't really walk, but we know a rested KDB and how much he covers a pitch. So that's my only thinking with regards to Champions League. I want him rested, and that's
It's a subjective thing, and I get it because Alan's desperate for the Champions League. So Alan's like all eyes to Tuesday. And I get it. It's like me, I'm more eyes on Saturday and the following Saturday against Burnley. Mm-hmm. Tuesday's Tuesday for me because the Champions League is what the Champions League will be. I'm at that stage with it. We win it, we win it. We'll win it whenever we win it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you should go to Istanbul because you don't give a shit about it. So, where I think the club...
Alan, I didn't give a crap about the bloody or windscreen trophy, but I still went with 3,000 other fans. Didn't see you in Main Road that night against Mansfield, sunshine. Oh. Listen, you think I give a crap when we played Jamaica and drew 0-0? You think I went for the drumming?
Oh, man. Yeah, you went for the food.
No, I went simply because I'd watch City anywhere. Doesn't mean I'm like thing. I'd follow City anywhere. Watch. Told you I'd watch the bloody grass grow at the Etihad. I ain't bothered. But for me, my issue with the FA Cup is simple. This don't go this far. Don't go this far.
Yeah, but
don't do this.
But at the same time, hold on, Martin. But Martin, it's Burnley. It's not. They're not in the Premier League. And even with
lost 2 games all season, they're flying.
Respected, but we should be able to not have our best 11 playing and getting a result.
I think you will. I think you're going to need your best 11 against Company because it is Company. Because the Company's going to big time. Remember Newcastle? They took their eye off the ball and everything went to the Carabao Cup final.
So Ortega doesn't play in the FA?
No, I think Ortega's the only one they'll play.
Okay.
Only because he promises that to his cup goalers.
And I'm okay with that because Ortega's enough quality to play against Championship.
Yeah,
but definitely start.
But that's my point. But that was my point with Ortega. He is still of quality, and again, if Pep chooses to go with a Gundogan and Silva in the Burnley match with no KDB, or if he has KDB, Gundogan and Rodri,
I know what you're saying. Rotate. Yeah. It's not a downgrade so much. I totally with that. I mean, Alan, hand on heart, where are you at for Saturday? What are you thinking?
Well, I think he'll try and give minutes. I'm not saying from the start, but I think he'll try and give minutes to John Stones at the weekend and maybe Henrik Laporte. I wouldn't say he will start them. I think he might start one of them on Saturday. Personally, I would like to see John Stones on the pitch and maybe Diaz. All right. To me, you've got to play Aki in every game because we don't have an alternative. There, but I think he might play 3 at the back on Saturday. He'll definitely start with 3 at the back. I think as much as I like Kyle Walker, he's not helped himself this week, and I think he'll go 3 at the back. I think he will play.
He does play 3 at the back on smaller grounds as well.
Yeah, but I will say midfield. I've got a sneaking feeling he'll play either Gundogan or Bernardo Silva in midfield on Saturday. I think KDB will start, but I think he'll play either Bernardo or either Gundogan, and I'm going to Bernardo. I think he'll rest Gundogan for Wednesday night. Yeah, I definitely think that. And I personally think that depending on Foden's fitness. If he has got enough,
from Charlie. What do you mean, Alan 3 at the back? He's done it all season.
I know.
People still see it as though, like, I think he's going to do 3 at the back on Saturday. Like,
well, at least as Americans would say, 3-box-3. Yeah, but
3-2-2-3.
Yeah. So we'll go down the American way of saying things because Martin likes that way of saying it.
I say 3-2-2-3.
No, you don't. You say 3-box-3. And then you do, right? And you know you do. Now, at the end of the day, it depends on the fitness of Foden. If he has got a knock, he'll definitely rest him. For me, he'll definitely rest him for Wednesday night. But if he hasn't, he'll play him. You are right about that, Marty. And Grealish and Haaland. But I think he'll try something with the centre halves because I think he needs to get either Stones or Laporte in either one of those two into fitness for midweek. I really do.
Okay. Later.
I'm not even.
I'm confident. Maybe it's me. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not. You know, and I'm not even gonna try to think more about the starting 11 because Pep's gonna do what Pep does. But with regards to the match, I have tremendous respect for Vieira. I think ever since going into that managerial job and how he's set the squad up against us, they've always been matches where you got to pay attention and you're watching till the very last minute to get that result. So much respect is going to be shown to them in Crystal Palace. We saw what they did to our neighbors across the street, getting a draw against them when they were flying. So I still predict a win because I think the fact that Pep came out in a press conference and stressed how important these matches were, I think not only is he saying that publicly, but he's definitely relayed that message to the players, and they know, you know what, we're going to go all out. We're going to give our heart with regards to these matches before we go on these international break, and it starts with this game against Crystal Palace. So, yeah, I'm seeing a win. It's control ball, which I'm going to talk about on my show tomorrow. But Pep is really, he's just got a way about. He's expressed and shown that he's figured out the managers that he's faced repeatedly, and he knows what he doesn't want to do against them. More importantly, so I think we're going to be set up well, and I'm confident with the win.
Yeah, Pat. Final say on Palace on you before we jump to our last 15 minutes of. We're going to talk about a nuisance story, but maybe if it's true.
Yeah, got to feel good going into this game. Rested players against a team that hasn't been necessarily in best of form at the moment. They're definitely not as much a threat as they were when we played them in both fixtures last season. So I feel confident as we always should going anywhere really. So I expect a solid performance and should have our tails up coming into Leipzig midweek.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty confident on the game as well. We'll see. There's going to be a match reaction Saturday night. I'm going to be on 2 channels on Saturday night. Well, maybe 3. Don't know. I've been asked to go on Never a Foul Saturday night after the game, directly after the game. So I will be on Never a Foul with Daps on Saturday after the game, and then we'll come back about 10:30 live on the Mancunian wave for our post-match reaction video. So it'll be 9:30 in the morning Sunday for you boys if you are available.
Yeah.
Alan has to shoot. Off you go, mate. Thank you for joining us.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks, mate. See you in a bit.
Take care, Alan. Thanks, mate. Are you all right? You two all right for 10 minutes?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah. So we'll be doing that Saturday. So we'll be back live with our post-match Saturday. I will be, well, if I'm invited, I will be on Vita's channel tomorrow night as well. Vita, what time is your show tomorrow, buddies, to everyone listening?
6:15 UK time, 1:15 Toronto time. So, please look out for the notification. I think if you've got the alerts on YouTube 30 minutes before I go live, I think that gets pushed automatically. But please look out for that and know that I'll be live at that time, 6:15 UK time.
Yeah, and also, yes, I've noticed, Charlie. And also, there's going to be a show Sunday night that I think Daps might be coming on for. I'm on 3 shows Sunday. I'm going on 9320 Pubcast 8 o'clock, Vita's show at 9 o'clock. Then we're coming back at 10 o'clock to the 10:30 because I want to stay for all of Vita's show. For our Leipzig preview will then come out on Sunday and then we'll be live Tuesday night. So we have got an absolute packed week coming up. This is getting busy. Plus, yeah, hammer and tongs, as Pat has put it. Right. Let's talk about some nonsense that I read today. Apparently, Real Madrid are coming back this season in the summer for one Erling Braut Haaland. Now, first things first. Is that a load of garbage, or do we think Real Madrid may have an actual, here we go, we're coming to get this boy?
It's just column inches. It must be a slow news week. With whatever the name of their media is, they're the one that favours them, because it's La Masa or something that favours Barca. I can't remember what the name of the one is that favours Real Madrid. Yeah, so I just think it was a slow news week for them. I find it quite ironic, given they want our best goal scorer, given the fact that we if you believe what you hear, that we did fund actually quite a bit of the extensions to their stadium, to the Bernabeu. So, I'll be interested to see just how well they are able to negotiate with our club after one season. As far as I could see, it's probably just a whole bunch of complete and utter waffle, and just proof that it was a slow news week.
You thinking that rate of slow news, or is it out Haaland in?
First, before I answer that question, I see you guys in the chat complaining about snow. What is this?
It's decided it's going to snow here in England.
How many centimeters is this?
All right, mister, I'm in Canada. That's real snow. Yeah. I know, as I've told you, my dad's lived in Canada and in Alberta. Found out when it was in Alberta. So I know all about a winter snow where it's up to the middle
especially
of the
in Alberta.
Door.
Yeah, you had 1 centimeter of snow. That's cute.
Open the front door. That's snow.
Yeah. So you guys complaining about a little thing you can probably wipe off with your hand.
I love the way he's like a little flurry. By the way, the schools have already got things out ready to be closed tomorrow to go online.
Wow. Okay.
It does tell you a lot about the UK, because in Canada, they literally, them, everyone ever seen The Simpsons with Mr. Plow? Right? Yeah. They actually do have them, I got told by my dad, in Canada, where they have proper snow plows that will go out and they literally will pull school buses through to get them to schools. Mm-hmm. In England, flurry of snow, we close.
Yeah. Heathrow Airport, they get 2 centimeters of snow, shut down everything. Unbelievable.
All right. Well, you know what? I won't judge.
Just while you're doing that, I am actually going to check. You carry on. I just want to check whether it is.
Going to the question with regards to Real Madrid and this whole going back to reach out for Haaland, it's complete nonsense. A year later, the season that he's having, to actually entertain this it's to your part, Pat. It's a slow news cycle. It has to be, because they need to create something. They need to create interest, because again,
sorry, mate.
no, I see it. College is
already short.
That's
5 centimeters.
Yep,
that's funny. That's funny.
If it is true and they want Haaland, well then 120 million up front plus two out of these three, Vinicius Jr., Camavinga, or Tchouameni in return.
I've got to pick
2 out of those 3.
All right, this is something
that's it.
One of my friends said to me, and this is why I don't get annoyed, but I'll just laugh when I hear City fans go, why don't we go to Barcelona and get Pedri? Why don't we go to Real Madrid and take Cruz, or someone in the pomp?
I would have loved to have had Tony Cruz a few seasons ago.
But why don't we ever
imagine him in midfield with
why don't we ever go to Bayern Munich and buy Kimmich? Why don't we go to PSG and buy Mbappe? And I thought, he's talking a lot of nonsense. And then I realised, I went and looked at it all, and I thought, City don't go and buy from the cartel. Mm-hmm. City never have done.
No.
The cartel come to us. We don't go to them.
And even then, we don't really budge either.
That's why I've
never
always
let Aguero go. We never let De Bruyne go.
Well, it's why I've always said we don't buy world-class superstars. We make them world-class superstars.
Right.
And keep them.
And keep them. But Cancelo to Bayern, Sane to Bayern. Bernardo's now been linked with PSG today. Torres to Barcelona. Are we moving? If it is true, because the problem is, I think it's a load of nonsense for this season. If this should have come out this time next year, when his release clause becomes active, then I'm like, right, there might be something in this. Do I think Madrid had possibly come to City and gone, what's the release clause in 12 months? Madrid may have said to someone, is there a way we can do it now, lower than your release clause, or what? If you remember, you see clubs do this all the time. Because whether we like it or not, there is a release clause for him.
Yeah, of course.
We can't get out of
business.
That.
Yeah.
But does that release clause become active after a certain couple of seasons?
Next season, apparently.
After next season.
I just want to go back to your point earlier, though, Martin. I think City's model would actually show it's actually more of a failure when we have to get the player when they've gotten to those clubs already. City's model has been, we're going to be proactive. We're going to be within the scouts. We're going to be able to find these talents before they've gotten to those destinations that you just mentioned. If those players have already gotten to a PSG, to a Real Madrid, to a Barcelona, then we didn't do our job. We didn't find you at the right time, and we passed, and we're going to find the next player. I think that's kind of been the business model to follow. And Real Madrid wanting to get Haaland, Real's not going to be the only one. Everyone's going to be sniffing around because of how amazing of a player he is. And this release clause, them trying to find out what the figures are, yeah, they can try and plan for the future. I think it's something that we really don't need to entertain when, as long as we continue to really have the football that we have on the pitch, and we have those goals that we continue to pursue year after year. So,
do you think this has come from his agent? Because last week she came out with a comment of, the one thing I'd say about Haaland, he has got his career mapped out. He always has done. If you look at Haaland's career, his father's done a very good job of mapping out his whole career for him.
Yeah. If you don't have a plan, you have a plan for failure.
And the plan is to go right to the top. In Haaland's eyes, this is why I've always said, I've never thought Haaland would do 10 years at Sarr. Still don't think he will. Don't think he will ever do 10 years at City, because I think he's just got a roadmap for his career, and I think that doesn't involve being at one club.
I think him and his dad have a time frame where if they're responsible for bringing City their first Champions League in between now and before his 4 or 5 year contract's up, then he'll move on.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I wouldn't.
There's a lot of dominoes. I think I agree. There's a lot of dominoes that need to fall first.
And I'm just surmising. I've heard nothing. I don't think Madrid have been in touch with City. I think Madrid and his agent have had a chat somewhere, as you do it this time of year, and they've gone. And listen, if you're a business owner, you're going to say, well, what is his release clause? Because his agent will know that release clause. Yeah. Because she put it in.
Yeah, and it's to layer onto that, it's also the agent's best interest to find out how much are you willing to spend for this talent. We get the release clause, but how much do you want to actually bring them through your doors and have them to be part of Real Madrid? So a proper agent's going to be asking all those questions and see, what this is the number you guys are thinking. And I mean, that she's doing her job. She's being. And we have to.
She can come back and go to City. This is what Madrid are willing to offer, and City go in the summer. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll take out your release clause and we'll give you this amount in wages.
It's all part of the game. It's all part of the game, and it's also important intel, because it also leads to making plans for the day he does happen to go. So when you know what kind of figures are going around, then City can also be proactive to, We've had the best working relationship, and we've had laser focus. We've pursued these goals as a team, and he's pursued these goals as a player. We now know what kind of money's being exchanged, and you know what? Who's going to try and fill that gap based off of profile? Here's who we're going to go after. It's okay. I don't think. Yeah, go ahead.
Is there an amount you and Pat can bob on? Is there an amount you would be okay selling with this summer if it came?
Somewhere around from what I heard, the release clause was something in the region of 150 to 175 million pounds.
Yeah, we're looking at something like Neymar
have to
departure.
be the most expensive, 175 for me. 175.
Yeah.
Neymar's.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
So what you're seeing what you're seeing potentially with Haaland is, given the way he's just been able to hit the ground running this season with how many goals he's scoring, and let's not forget too, next season there's so much anticipation. Once he's figured out the system, he could bag even more. And I hate to admit it, but when players like that come into English football and they are able to put up historical stats or stats that just transcend anything that's happened pre-Premier League era or in the current Premier League era, I'm going to use examples here like Gareth Bale, Cristiano Ronaldo, David Beckham. When they've done things that just transcend what English football's done, what happens? The Galacticos, Real Madrid, come knocking. It's just a simple fact. And if Haaland continues doing what he does, then he may easily fall into those bracket of players where they're exceeding all expectations, or they're doing amazing things in English football. That obviously the big cartel, the big dogs in Real Madrid are going to come knocking and say, "Do you want to become a Galactico?" Or "We want you to become a Galactico." We have to face that if that happens, if those statistics are there, there is every conceivable possibility that he could fall into that same bracket of player.
Yeah. That's the same path that many players have kind of gone through. The one thing I want to bring up, which is also something to keep in mind, I think this is something that his father as well as his agent are definitely thinking about. We know, to Pat's point, the path that many greats have followed, right? It makes sense when they call you up and say, we'd like you to play for Real Madrid, we'd like you to wear this jersey. Many players are like, yeah, I've always thought about that. That's been my future. Something that's kind of changed in the landscape is La Liga still going to remain that destination? Is it going to have the eyeballs that it once had? Why many players wanted to go there, right? Is it still going to have all of the eyeballs looking to see Real and Barcelona? Is that still going to be the two fixtures, the two clubs that everyone's going to be paying attention to? If it's not so much the case in a year or two, when that call happens for Haaland, maybe he chooses something different. We keep hearing whispers of the Super League. We keep hearing how the Premier League is the league to be in because of how popular it is. Does that still remain the same? Does Haaland choose to follow the path of past greats when it's not quite the same league or destination that it used to be? There's going to be a lot to happen over the next couple of years, and I'm not too stressed with the questions that kind of come out from Haaland's agent or maybe Real Madrid, because at the same time we're hearing rumors that Real Madrid want to go after Arteta.
She's doing a job. Yeah. And I'm with you. And I think he goes nowhere. I think this is a load of nonsense. We're going to end on that in a minute with that. I think it's
for 2 or 3 years at least. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he goes. Like I said, do I see him staying 10 years? No. Do I see him staying more than a year or 2 years? Yes. Do I see him eventually playing for Real Madrid? Yes. But that doesn't mean next year or the year after.
Could we? I think one of the city statisticians, one of the city geeks, nerds, like, I'm throwing this out to you guys. Okay, it's not directed at you, but go into the numbers. Find out based off of maybe a pace of 30 goals a season or 28 goals a season, how quickly could Haaland get to the all-time goal-scoring record that Harry Kane has just achieved? Let's do that, because maybe that's some motivation with regards to maybe why Haaland may also choose to remain here. Because if we look at him being 23 years old now, I don't know how many years in the league he would have to remain, but he could
I
still
don't think-
leave the league.
Vader, if he puts those stats up, that gives even Real Madrid even more reason to come.
I'll be honest with you, I don't think he gets that because I don't think he'll be here long enough to break it.
No, but what I'm saying is, could he
Could he
put
do
those-
it?
Could he do it and still be in his pump to still go to La Liga and do his thing? Just the question for all the
Yeah,
for the,
no, it is,
for the
and
city
it's questions
statisticians.
we can, yeah, and that's a good point, Brian. I just think Haaland, if you look through his whole career, he's had his roadmap's already planned for him. It's already written.
And I asked that question because if he does go to La Liga early, does he have a chance of catching Cristiano Ronaldo's goal scoring, or is it Messi's goal scoring? I'm not quite sure which one has it over there, but that's something to keep in mind because when you think of his career, Haaland should be the all-time goal scoring leader in a league. If he splits his time, I don't think he has that. Maybe that's something that he might have as a motivation and as a goal.
Could have said the same thing about Zlatan too, but he was one of those, troopers who wanted to go have a new experience every 3 or 4 years or so.
And myself as a fan outside, I know Cristiano Ronaldo did the same thing, but he did have a long stint in La Liga. But selfishly, as a fan and a fan of a player, I would want them to kind of like pick a home and not be a journeyman like Zlatan was.
I think Madrid can afford both because they've not spent a lot of money recently. They've been doing what we've done. They've been very clever with money for the last.
They've been borrowing a lot of money from us, mate.
Yeah, as well. I am going to end on this. I know you have to shoot in a minute, Beta, but I just want to share this. This man, it's not openly clear, but absolute legend of the football club, Mike Summerby. Yesterday, 2 days ago on Tuesday, went to Windsor Castle to get his OBE from His Royal Highness Prince of Wales. So big ups to Buzzer, Mike Summerby. He was at Manchester City. He is still part of the club today. An absolute legend, a legend of Manchester City Football Club.
And a gentleman. Yeah.
An absolute gentleman, a scholar, and a saint. I'm sorry, that was the best photo I could get to put full screen on.
One can argue he should have gotten a lot sooner, but yes.
A lot sooner, yes. Yep. But I just wanted to say big congratulations from everyone at the Mancunian way and all the City family. He deserves that. He's an absolute legend. Oh no, take that, sorry, wrong image. That's for another show.
Oh, is that the league jerseys?
Oh, I might as well put them up. These are the reported new kits for next season. This is going to be the home kit.
It's got a bit of the old, it's got a bit of the old 1982 Saab kit about it, doesn't it?
Well, apparently it's a bit like, you remember the First Advice one?
Yes.
Very similar.
Electric blue, yeah. I've got to hang it up in the background, Martin. See the Mark Vivian Foley shirt I got?
Yeah. No, they had one after it. That Anelka wore, the one after it.
Yeah, okay, yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
Okay.
This is going to be the third kit. No, that might be the away kit.
No, that's the away kit, yeah, from what I heard.
That's the away kit.
Okay.
And the third kit, I can't get an image of. That's good enough, so I'm not going to show you that. But that's my favourite one so far.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the fella I was thinking. Thank you, Andrew. Antoine Sobieski. That's the guy who reminds me of it.
Yep.
Blue Art, thank you for reminding me. It was always on the schedule. I just wanted to get to it, mate. But big props to you for reminding me. Hope the fans sing Buzzer's song. Absolutely deserves it. Mike Summerby, legend. Absolute icon, Sir Mike. A buzzer, he is. A legend is not big enough for him. Love him. I watched him from the Kippax. Madder, lots of love for Buzzer there.
I'm sorry, guys. Oh, calculations. Andrew, I'm going to check that. But unfortunately, I got to bounce real quick. Thanks for having me on the show. Pat, Martin.
Tune in tomorrow, 6:15.
Thanks,
Game TV. Take care, mate. I'll see you tomorrow.
Catch up.
Yeah, we'll just wrap up, and I won't take too much Pat's time. It's got Sobieski. It has all over it. Me too, Brian. I did programs at Main Road. Good man. I like the new shirt in blue. I like the new shirt. I'm not going to lie. It's not officially been announced yet, but they do tend to come out now. The third kit. Have I sent you the third kit yet, Pat?
No, but I think it's some sort of like dark electricity job or something, isn't
let me
it?
show it you. I'll send it on the group.
Yeah.
Because I can't get it.
If it's what I think it is, I didn't mind it. It didn't look too
The
bad.
one, it is, I think it is. Oh, it's the wrong kit. I've sent it to the wrong group.
Oh, well done. Why have you sent a United kit, you dickhead?
Hey, I think, shut up.
Yes. You sent me a bloody rag kit. I can give a toss about that. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, the electric job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I do.
That is going to be my favorite kit. If that is true, if that one is true, it is going to be the nicest kit I've ever seen in a long time.
Yeah.
And I will. And do you know what I can't wait for? The jacket and everything that'll be with it. That will look.
The match day sort of windbreaker. Yeah.
It will look outstanding.
Yeah. And the other thing to give credit to Puma as well too. You must have listened to the fans or something, because if you remember the first season, they followed the old trap. Puma did the old trap of like, okay, we do your size, but it's quite slim fitting or it's quite figure hugging, so you may have to go a size up. But then if you're someone like me who goes up to like a triple XL, even then it was quite a snug fit. Now, I think it was from the 2020-2021 season when we had the Mosaic home kit, they started to loosen them up a little bit. And since then, they've just started loosening up their kits a little bit because I think they're listening to what the fans have been saying.
I hated Nike. Now, for bigger gentlemen like me.
Nike just became for me, Nike was comfortable, but it was just a copy and paste job.
Yeah. It was
they look so similar to every other major European club. The sleeves and everything, all look the same.
I've always been the biggest gentleman. Kappa were no good for me, really. I had them all. But I love Puma. I think what Puma are doing at the minute with the kits are outstanding. I think they're really listening to the fans. They're looking at the heritage of the football club, going back to this season with the Colin Bell King shirt, going back, making sure even with our away top, the black and the red, they've involved it. And I just think
the creative department is listening. If you feel like the creative department are football fans.
They're understanding the football club. They're understanding the heritage, the history.
I think the creative team are football fans. They know. Yeah. They know. And even if their creative team was even if their creative team were all United fans, they at least make the effort to look into the history of our club or something like that and say, they prefer the red and black.
Do you know what me with that?
We're
all generic.
Yeah. Yeah, they were copy and paste jobs. Yeah.
When I went to City or I went to United or whoever had Nike at the time, it was just their colours but the exact same design in everyone's kit.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, if Puma wanted to win over the most skeptical of City fans in terms of kits, then the next couple of years they would bring back the sash. The red, white, and black sash from like 10 years ago.
I've always liked Umbro. Did like Lecoq Sportif for a little bit. Didn't like Reebok. Reebok was bloody awful.
Yeah.
I thought they were dog awful in it.
Can you see the irony though with Nike though was the best Umbro kits that City had was when Umbro was owned by Nike.
Well, do you know what we're going to do this year? What I've done for me and my children. Way off topic here, I know. But every time it's their birthday this year, we're buying them the whole Manchester City kit of the year they were born.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Righto. Bloody hell. If I did that, given how much 1985 kits are on classic football shirts, I probably have to fork out about 700 quid.
I looked at mine. It was about $2,000 to get the official. I'm like, no, that ain't happening. But I will say, there is going to be a prize this year to the FIFA for the player of the Fantasy Football League that we did on the Premier League website. There will be a prize for the winner, and we are going to do an end of season awards, and we're going to do some prizes for that as well. There's all sorts we've got lined up on the channel. We're going to look at all sorts of things to make this channel bigger, better. Powder Oaks, I love that. It's just Whether there'd be a lot of interest other than 2 or 3 people, mate. But I love the idea. It's something I definitely do want to do. It's something we made.
A few of our guys will have opinions because they'll want to, resurrect something, or maybe there's some historical event in the club that would love to be imprinted or reflected on a kit. So
it's something we'll have a chat about.
Yeah.
Definitely. And this is what I've always said. It's your channel. It's not mine, Aussies and Rich. It's your channel. If you want something to be done or something to be said, tell us and we'll look into it. What I will say is big thank you to Martin. Check the inbox. What have you sent me now? What's he buddy sent me? Let's have a look, Andrew. What have you sent me here? You're talking about the SELHURST kit. I know it's like bloody night and day. It's like night and day. Yeah. I'm just going to, let me just show you this.
Put it up for everyone, yeah.
I'm hoping I can get it in. It might not let me. It might be too big. But I'm going to see if it'll let me put it on. And I will just show that to people now. It might not let me put it on. It's not letting me do it, Andrew. It's not letting me put it through because I don't know if it's copywritten or what. There might be. This is it close up. That's the home kit close up. It's going to be. And I'm just trying to. What year is that, Andrew?
That must just be the fan kit as well too, because you see the badge was just stitched in. It wasn't like the rubber one that they just put the adhesive on, like they do for the matchday kits.
I'm just trying to see where it is. No, it's 2003, isn't it? What was it? Here it is. Here it is. Let me get it. Bingo. Now I can get this one. Now look at the absolute difference between the 2003 kit. You'll be like, there's no difference, because there's not. That's the new one. There's the
okay with. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
You see what I mean? It's virtually like identical, even the collar.
Well, hang on. That was 2003, 2004, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're about to go. That'll be for 20 years. Like 20-year anniversary, yeah. This will be 23, 24.
Yeah.
They seem to be a bit anniversary savvy, Puma, since they took over.
That's
10 years, and yeah.
Yeah, I've got a feeling it is a 20 years. I think they'll bring it out as that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate that, mate.
Because maybe it's an anniversary for City's first season at City of Manchester, because that was 2003 when we started. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Has nobody clicked on that yet? 20 years we will have been at the Etihad. That was the first home kit going into the Etihad Stadium. 20 years on. The home kit this year will be announced as 20th anniversary of going into the Etihad. There you go. See, we're not just good-looking faces here. We're not good-looking faces. We're on the ball here, you know. No, they're not daft. 20th year of going into the Etihad. At the time was the City of Manchester Stadium, or COMS, as it was called for short. Hated it when people called it that. You got a COMS.
Let's just say they've really stepped up their game since the first season when Puma came in, because that purple lined home job was just nobody was in for that. And then the Tequila Sunrise third kit was just horrible. The only thing that made it respectable that year was the Hacienda kit. But then since then, they've gone in leaps and bounds. They're going to leaps and bounds every season.
Right. Just definitely. Could you imagine if they did like an intro video on mancity.com? Richard done wearing the one from 2003 to De Bruyne or Diaz or whoever wearing the one from to 2023, 24.
But if they do that, they'd have to put a compilation of Richard Dunn scoring own goals and like, look how far we've come.
No, I'm being serious. I'm just thinking of a marketing ploy. City, contact me. I'll be in touch. Yeah, Richard Dunn, spot on show. I agree. Like, I love sport. You know what? 20 years. We might even give me an idea for a video. We're going to do a 20-year anniversary from Main Road to the Etihad. And everything in between, from the first game against Barcelona in the Thomas Cup. What was it? His first advice. What was the bloody trophy we played in?
Martin, I'd like that too, because I just brought up 20 years at the end of last year. Been watching City.
Yeah, Sean Wright Phillips last year before he went.
Yeah,
before he left.
Kept the club afloat though. Selling
He
him.
did.
Yep.
He did. 21 million because the co-op called our loans back in. And we were about to go. Pyong.
Yep.
We weren't going to administration. We were going to liquidation because we owed money to HMRC and all sorts. We were going bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.
But hey ho, 20 years later. Do you know what? And this is we've gone way off here. 20 years ago, we were out of business virtually.
15 years ago, we were too.
No, but I know. From 20 years, you're nearly out of business, to 20 years being the most successful team in the country, if not the whole of Europe. And they dare to have a pop at our owners. And dare to question our fan base and dare to question the badge in this football team. You have not got a clue. Not got a clue.
And that's why we do this, to stay humble.
Yeah. We owed the Co-op Bank a shitload of money 20 years ago. And they're now paying us to put an arena next to us. Look at you just couldn't make the damn thing up. You couldn't make it up. And we're sticking a 5-star hotel. And yeah, just thanks very much. Anyway, you know what? Let's just screw it. Forget the ad. We'll call it the cooperative arena.
Co-op in more ways than one.
That would be shithousery at its best, that, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That would be shithousery. City put the Co-op Bank out of business. No, I bank. Anyway, big thank you to Pat for joining us. Where can they all find you, mate?
Facebook, MCFC Sydney, Instagram, mcfc.sydneyblues. Early Bird Podcast, while it has been off the air for a few weeks.
He's going to say, we'll promise I'm getting you on.
Yeah. Early Bird Podcast, Facebook, Apple Podcast, SoundCloud, Spotify. As I mentioned before, let me just update my virtual background. A sec. I'll be, as mentioned, I will be in Manchester next week for the Burnley game. So if there's anybody who's in town that weekend, I'll be more than happy to meet up
buy
with
me a
you.
pint?
Yeah, I'll buy you a pint, mate. Yeah, all good. Diamond Lager.
What?
Diamond Lager.
Don't sell that, summer biscuit.
I'm just putting up the background of our supporter club flag because I'll just leave that up hanging in Mary D's or Townley or one of the few pubs around the ground that we'll probably spend at least some time at.
Speak to me privately when we come off air.
We'll do that.
Mary D's.
So, yeah. Wait. Yeah, I'll ask you. Oh, yeah, so. All right, it's too big. Okay, it's too big for the bloody whole screen, but yeah. Look for that. Manchester City, Sydney Blues. It says, don't worry about the world ending today. At the bottom, it says it's already tomorrow in Australia. As anybody saw in the background, I also have that Vincent Company flag hanging up the back wall too. So I'll bring that one if I can't fit the other one in my
Barcelona
in my hand luggage. So yeah, that one just behind me there. You can see the Vincent Company flag. So keep an eye out for both of those. I'll have them hanging up. Welcome anybody to come and say hello, have a pint, have a bit of a chin wag, and talk all things Blues. I can't wait to get back over there, even if it's only for less than a week before we move on.
Are you sitting for Burnley?
Hang on. I got my ticket here. Hang on. Let me check. chances are they always seem to put us Sydney Blues up in the Colin Bell, but I'll just check now.
He's in the Bell End.
Yeah, I'll be in the Bell End. Probably more than likely I'll be in the Bell End. Yeah, let's have a look.
Ray Fernley's on it.
Yeah, Colin Bell, level 3, block 3. Colin Bell, level 3, block 324. Which
see, this is what
I think I've been there before. I think
ladies
it's like
gents, no, stop a minute, ladies and gents. This is what happens when you get the fake fans. They go to level 3. Yeah. You get real fans like myself who get slagged off for going in the family stand, but I'm in level 1, 6 rows from the front. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but man, I'll be able to see you having another bicker with that 7-year-old in the row behind you, because you'll stand out like a set of bloody dog's balls. While the rest of us are all sitting there enjoying the game, still trying to wash off the last of the jet lag, complaining, saying like, "Oh, the bloody tourists, all the bloody tourists up there."
Look at all
and then you don't realize when you look over to the bloody south side of the Tunnel Club, they're all over there with their bloody brand new iPhone 14 Maxes, and you just like, no, we're all up at the Colin Bell stand. Yeah, pap out. This is ridiculous. Swales back in, bring Swales in.
Yeah, do you know what? It is. But yeah, no, Burnley will definitely catch up. But thank you all for joining us.
100%, mate.
Don't forget, Saturday night after the game, I will be on Never a Foul with Daps, who has invited me on. Then we're going to come back at 10:30 on the Mancunian way. Tomorrow, I'll be on Vata's show 6:15. And then I think Pat wants me on his channel at 10. And then on Sunday, we're back. Don't know who's on yet. Don't know who's available. Sunday night, 10:30, we're going to be back with the Leipzig preview. If it's just me on my own, it's just me on my own. But we'll try our best to get whoever we can on for a Monday morning. And then we'll be live post-match Tuesday with the Leipzig. And then Thursday, we're back, hoping to have Big Steve on next Thursday. So keep an eye out for that. Hopefully to get Big Steve on next Thursday. I'm just in contact with him at the moment. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But onwards, upwards, we'll grow as we can together. Best way of doing it. But go and give the early birds. Go and hammer and tongue that subscribe, like, and everything else for us and for them. And Vader Games TV, and True City, and City Extra, Pitch Points, Esteem, everyone. Big Steve, go and give them all. MCFC lads, the 1894, go and give them all a lot of love, because we all deserve it. One big family, JSGC as well. Take care, and we'll see you all Saturday.
Thanks, everyone. Hooroo.
Take care, ballers. I don't know where the exit button is now.
Oh, play hell.
Like amateur hour. Bye.
Yeah.